that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special broadcast of Energy Week, and we have a guest, Paul Cameron, who's going to tell us about Brattleboro Solar Summer.
Yes.
Raise your hand, Paul, so you know it's not me.
Anyway, we're talking about Brattleboro Solar Summer, which is open to everybody in Brattleboro.
That's correct. Yes.
Does it go beyond Brattleboro? Because this broadcast does.
Well, the goal of Brattleboro Solar Summer is to encourage folks in the region to invest in solar.
Okay.
And we're focusing on Brattleboro,
Okay.
but our effort extends to Windham County and surrounding areas.
So could a person, now we're going to be talking about lower prices for solar for people in Brattleboro if they sign into the program.
Correct.
Can you sign into the program if you're outside of Brattleboro proper?
No, the discount just applies to Brattleboro residents.
Okay.
But there are other programs. For example, in Dummerston, there's a solarized program.
Okay.
And I believe also in Putney.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is Brattleboro, but we encourage other people to check with their own towns and find out if they have similar programs, and if not, start them.
Yes. And I believe anyone can participate in the solarized Dummerston program. You don't have to be a resident of Dummerston.
Really?
I believe so.
That's cool.
So anyone could participate.
That makes Dummerston a really cool place. Okay.
Brattleboro too.
Yes, it does. So why don't you explain what is happening here?
Okay. So Brattleboro Solar Summer is a project of Brattleboro Climate Protection and the Brattleboro Energy Committee.
Okay.
And we wanted to do a program to encourage and expand solar in our area. And we looked into doing a traditional solarized program, similar to what some other communities in the region have done, where a committee or a town would choose one installer usually through an RFP process, request for proposal. They would choose one installer, and that installer would offer a discount to people who sign up during a particular time period, usually 3 months or so. And our committee discussed that possibility, and we decided that we wanted to do something a little bit different, which was that we would just promote solar in general, and we would work with all of the local solar installers on the program. And so we have 5 local participating installers that we're working with on the program. We just felt like we didn't want to limit it to one company. We wanted to lift all boats, if you will, and promote solar at the solar industry for all the installers.
So the different installers, am I correct, can offer somewhat different prices?
They offer, well, each installer charges a range of prices for the installation.
Okay.
But they're all of the 5 installers are offering the same discount.
The same discount.
Which is $50 to $200 per kilowatt, depending on the number of people who sign up for the program. So the more people in Brattleboro who sign up, the greater the discount will be.
Right, and you're looking for a number.
Yes, our goal is to have at least 100 Brattleboro residents either install solar on their home or business or purchase shares in a community solar project.
Okay. The solar installers here are from, you said local, but you mean local to this area. They're not just all in Brattleboro.
That's correct. One of them is two of them are in Brattleboro. Integrated Solar and Sunnyside Solar Store.
Right.
There's also Sovereign Solar, which is based in Putney.
Right.
Solar Source, which is based in Keene.
Right.
And Gary MacArthur Solar,
Right.
which is based in Marlboro.
Okay.
So those are the 5.
And a person should probably check among those to see what differences there are.
Yes. I mean, all of those installers are reputable and can do a good job. But as I said, they offer a range of prices. Some are more expensive than others. And of course, it depends on your site. And so what you want to do is contact one of the installers and get a free site visit
Yes?
and find out if your site is suitable for solar. That's the first step. For a lot of people, they can't do solar on their home because they don't have the proper exposure, or they have a slate roof, or if you're a renter, obviously you can't do solar on your building.
That's important. There are a lot of renters in Brattleboro.
About half of the residents of Brattleboro are renters,
But
including
the
myself.
people who rent can actually, all of us. But the people who, you rent, don't you,
Yeah.
John? Yeah, so do I. The people who rent can decide that they want their own solar, and they can arrange for that off-site through one of, there are 3, I believe, who will install solar at some sort of community site that you would buy into.
That's correct. 3 of the participating installers, Sovereign, Integrated Solar, and Sunnyside Solar Store, offer shares in a community solar project, which is a solar array that's located somewhere off-site. For example, there's one in Brattleboro behind the high school, and that farm that's owned by the Famolari family. That's a community solar project, and anyone can buy a share in that project. So you own a panel, and you receive the credits, the net metering credits that come from that electricity that's generated, and you get a credit on your electric bill for that amount. So whether you install on your home or you buy shares in a community solar project, there's a potential to save quite a bit of money over the long term.
Right. Now, if you have a house and you're going to install solar at the house, you can install it on the roof if it's a suitable roof
Correct.
with suitable exposure.
Correct.
And if not, you can install it on the ground. Are any of these people, the installers, installing tracking systems?
I'm not sure. I think some of them do that.
Yeah.
You'd have to check with the individual installer. But as you said, all the installers do roof-mounted systems if you
Right.
have a suitable roof, or if not, they can install it on the ground,
Right.
in your yard, say.
Right.
And if that doesn't work, then you can look into community solar.
Right. And you're looking to have 100 people sign up. And how is that going? How has your response been?
I think the response has been good. We had a kickoff event on May 2nd at the Brooks House, and we have a workshop coming up on June 8th, Monday, June 8th, at the Marlboro College Graduate Center. So we're encouraging folks who have questions about solar to come to that free informational workshop. But I would say there's a lot of interest, people, but it's complicated. There's a lot of options for people, and what we're trying to do is simplify it, make it easier for people to sign up for solar. And so we're trying to provide them with good information that they can use to make an informed decision. But I think there's really a lot of interest in going solar in our area.
Right. And we are, I should bring this up, not because I think many people are going to want to know about it, but because there may be a few. There are a lot of options, and one of them is to go off grid.
Yes.
And this could be done using this system?
If you want to go off grid, you would probably need to install batteries. And I think you could go through any of these participating installers and do an off-grid system. But you won't receive credits from
Right.
the power company to
Right.
do that.
Because you don't have a bill from the power company.
Correct.
That's right.
Now, the advantage is if, say, the power goes out in our region, your power would stay on because you're not connected to the grid.
Right.
But really, it makes sense to be connected to the grid so that you can receive these credits, because the power company is required to pay a premium for the electricity that's generated.
And also, the grid is really just about the cheapest battery around, in
Yeah.
effect.
Exactly.
But the business of being off-grid means that you would be really independent, truly independent.
Yeah, I mean, some people like that idea.
And some people are scared to death of it.
Some people, just want to have that security that if there is a power outage, their power will stay on.
But you can get the security without cutting your ties from the grid.
Yes, yes.
And
you
as a
can.
matter of fact, that I think brings up another thing too, and that is that we're entering into a period when batteries are getting very inexpensive.
Correct.
And the Tesla battery is a very good example of that, but there are others around. You don't have to wait until Tesla makes enough batteries that you can buy them. There are slightly more expensive batteries, but the Emergy battery that we've talked about here from time to time is being sold for $500 per kilowatt hour, and they're expecting that price to go down to $300.
Yeah.
It's a vanadium flow battery. It's big compared to a Tesla battery, and their smallest one is 15 kilowatt hours.
Right.
But they last, from what I've read, virtually forever, and they can be discharged 100% every day, day after day, for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So they have their own advantages, and they're available now. And that's just one example. But a person who has the battery and can work out the appropriate deal with the power company can buy power at a low rate at night when nobody really wants it, and sell it at a higher rate during the daytime when the grid needs it,
Yeah.
and conceivably make a little money by having his own very secure system.
Didn't we read about a guy who was doing exactly that with his car?
Yeah, a guy in Maryland, he was making $150 a month keeping his Tesla plugged in.
Wow. Boy, that's great if you can do that.
Well, Green Mountain Power is very forward-looking, and I'd be surprised if they haven't at least talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's similar to what they've done at the Brattleboro retreat. The retreat. The retreat buys power at a very much reduced rate with a deal that it will cut itself off from the grid or put power on the grid if that's required.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good deal for them.
Well, it's amazing how the electric industry is changing, and I think Green Mountain Power is in the forefront of that change. They're a very innovative company, and they're seeing that it's more than just poles and wires and centralized power plants, that it's becoming a lot more decentralized, and there are things like microgrids that are being developed in Rutland and maybe expanded to other communities like Brattleboro, where a circumscribed area of a town would be its own grid,
Yes.
and would be able to keep the power on if there was a region-wide outage.
Right.
So that's really exciting to think about.
We actually have a couple of microgrids in Brattleboro now. We've got one at the hospital, as I understand it, and certainly we've got one at the retreat.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there are probably others. I mean, the Elliott Street Apartments.
Well,
have-
it's limited. We
It's
can
limited.
keep the elevators running and the lights on in the hallways, but we can't keep the lights on in the apartments.
But even so,
But
it's
yeah.
an emergency power that's dependent on a generator.
A lot of people living there are wheelchair bound and stuff like that, so the only way they're going to get up and down is with the elevator.
Right. And that's part of the advantage of a microgrid. But also, a community microgrid in a place like Brattleboro could keep at least minimal power going.
Right.
Well, just the way the electric setup is set up in Brattleboro, it would make sense for us to have two different microgrids.
Yes.
Right in Brattleboro, one south, one north.
Right.
Right.
And we got power generating capacity already in one of them. The other one, yeah, there's power generating capacity down there already too.
And if people put a sufficient amount of solar power on their own property, it would be possible to power those grids to some extent using that power. There's nothing that would have to be done aside from enabling the microgrid with backup power of some kind or another.
All of this can be done with computers. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, yeah. But we could have any of a variety of power sources that would provide for that.
Yeah.
But the Brattleboro Solar Summer, let's get back to business here. This is lasting until
September 30th.
September 30th.
Started on May 1st, so it's 5 months. And the reason we're doing this now is that really there's never been a better time than now to go solar.
Right.
And the reason is that the price of solar panels has dropped considerably over the last 2 to 3 years. It's about half of what it was.
Yes.
It's dropped by about 50%. There are some new loan programs and incentives that are available
Right.
that really make it cost effective and affordable for the average person.
One of the things that I think about as you're saying this is I don't see where the price is going to go down in the future except by a slow erosion of the prices of panels and some kind of legislative action that will make it easier to permit and cut the what are called the soft costs.
Right.
At this point, the installation costs are by far the greatest part of the whole thing.
Right.
So the reduction in the price of solar panels is no longer going to have a whole lot of effect on this.
Right.
The fact that we've got banks, VSCCU was one of them,
Yep.
and there was another too, wasn't there, who could also be involved in this?
Well, VSCCU is sponsoring what's called the Windham County Solar Loan Program.
Right, okay.
Which comes from some of the Vermont Yankee settlement money.
Oh, you can get some of your money back.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's going to run out.
That's going to run out. That might last, a year or two. But it's very low interest. If you qualify, it might be zero interest on this loan. So you could take out a loan for zero interest and use that money to install a system on your home or buy shares in a community solar project.
Which would immediately reduce your power costs.
Your power costs. And you'd be paying VSCCU rather than Green Mountain Power.
But you could be paying less money per month having financed this.
Yes.
And what I just said, if you bring that into the mix, I don't see this going down very much in the next year or two.
Right.
And furthermore, we've got a discount program because you've got solar installers who are taking advantage of larger purchases to reduce prices and to bring crews together locally.
Yeah.
So that they've got reduced costs. They can keep a number of people employed for the full summer,
Right.
going into probably December.
Yeah.
And the federal incentives are still there, will be there for another year or more, but they are there. They're going to disappear a year and a half from now.
Right.
Or they might disappear a year and a half from now. And on top of everything else, you've got these discounts that the people are bringing in. So it may be that not only is this the best that we've ever had, it might be as good as it's going to get for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't think it's going to, as you say, I don't think it's going to get a lot better than this anytime soon. And
Right.
there is now a 30% federal tax credit that runs out at the end of 2016.
Right.
And that may or may not be renewed.
Now, what I would like all three of us to do is chime in as fast as possible with any conceivable reason that we can think of that a person should not do this. Is there such a thing?
No, I mean, I'm a renter, for example, and I'm looking into doing this because, it just doesn't make sense not to.
Right.
That's a good way of looking at it.
There's no reason not to do it.
There is no reason not to do it. There are reasons to do this.
Right.
And the reasons to do this are personal. They are for the community. They are for the world. You can get bragging rights.
Right.
And it doesn't cost you anything to get those bragging rights.
No, in fact, it could save you money in the long term. And you're supporting, locally produced, clean, renewable energy.
these programs are very significant. And you know, I think about now there are a number of solar operations that are going up in or near Brattleboro. One of which was a 0.5 megawatt for the high school, as I recall. And what is the status of that?
I'm not familiar with that one. There's a community solar array behind the high school.
Okay.
That was put in by Sovereign.
Okay.
And of course,
This is on Familary land.
yes.
Yeah.
And then at the old landfill at the end of Old Ferry Road, a very large system is going in the next year or two. It could be as much as 5 megawatts.
Right.
And then there's one on Technology
There's
Drive.
one at the end of Technology Drive that's 2 megawatts.
And so
It was put in
what-
by Win Stanley.
Yep.
So what we're seeing is a gradual increase in the amount of renewable power that's going in. It's not, and of course we've got a lot of people putting solar on their roofs already, or on their lawns or whatever. But we're seeing more of that.
Yeah.
And the program that you're talking about, if you hooked up 100 people, do you have any idea what the average size of their systems would be? Might it be 4 kilowatts or something like that?
I don't know offhand. That sounds about right.
But if it were 4 kilowatts, then it would wind up being 4 kilowatts times 100.
4,000 watts.
4,000
Kilowatts.
kilowatts. 4,000 kilowatts. 400 kilowatts.
400 kilowatts.
400 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be 4 times 100. Boy, my mind is just not working today.
Not enough
But
coffee.
400 kilowatts is not an insignificant amount of power.
Right.
And that, when you add it up with the rest of the stuff, starts putting us into a situation where the power that's being used locally is being generated locally. But in this particular case, unlike some of these other systems that belong to organizations that are not in Brattleboro, in this particular case, the benefit of it would not only be the electricity to the people in the community, but also financially to people in the community.
Right.
And when these systems are paid off, it means that the person who owns it has a power bill that essentially goes to nothing. And what happens if you buy into a community power system and when the power is paid off?
Well, it's the same as if it was on your home. You own the panel, it's just not located on your property. But once it's paid off, you basically receive free electricity for
Okay.
the life of the panel.
And the life of the panel is what?
20 years,
That's
maybe?
the warranty period.
Yeah, but they can go 30 years,
You'd probably go longer than
or
that.
even more.
Yeah. I've read that there are people saying these things might last 100 years. And that 50 years was a reasonable life expectancy.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm driving at here is I could buy into a community system that would be located behind the high school or wherever it's located.
Right.
And even though that system is not where I am, it's going to continue to be maintained.
That's correct.
So how does that work?
Well, it's maintained by the installer. In this case, it's Sovereign Solar, and they, maintain the panels and mow the area to make sure it doesn't get overgrown.
And that's paid for by?
That's maintained by Sovereign. They pay for it. Using, I guess, some of the money that people pay in to buy the panels.
My understanding was that Sovereign actually owns some of the panels, and they use the income from those panels that they own to provide the maintenance.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize
That makes
that.
sense.
But
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I am a renter, which I am, and I buy a share in a community solar system, and I move to, I don't know, some other place in town to Putney, to wherever, what happens?
Well, as long as you move to somewhere that's in Green Mountain Power territory, you continue to receive the credits. no matter where you live. If you were to move out of state, you would probably want to sell your share to someone else.
So this is actually something that I could sell.
Yes.
I might never see the panel that I've got, but I
Right.
could sell it.
Right, that's correct. Yeah,
So this is, it sounds to me like this is really a no-brainer. This is a matter of, there is practically no reason why anybody wouldn't have a reason to, would not benefit from doing this unless they've already done it.
I don't think there is a reason not to. I mean, it just makes so much sense in so many levels, cost-wise, for the environment, supporting the community and jobs. It just makes a lot of sense, and I think everyone should do it. And there's really no excuse not to. There's no reason why you wouldn't.
So do you think you're going to get 100 people signing on in Brattleboro?
Well, we're going to try. We're going to, we're out there tabling and, trying to get the word out.
Where do you have your tables?
Gallery walk, and we're going to be at the co-op next Tuesday, and probably the farmers market on some Saturdays.
Okay.
So we're doing everything we can to, let people know about the advantages of going solar.
And I want to repeat that on when was it that the event was going on at the Marlboro Tech Center?
That is Monday, June 8th, from
Okay.
5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
And we're going to have Kirk Shields from Green Mountain Power
Okay.
to give a kind of a Solar 101 presentation. Jason Cooper, who's a local property manager, is going to talk about the system that he installed on one of his rental properties. And he's
Okay.
kept very detailed data from that system. And
Jason loves to sit there and watch his electricity being generated.
exactly. So he can really, document how much he's saved very, very precisely. And so he's going to talk about that.
Okay.
And then the 5 installers will be there to talk to people and
Great.
answer questions.
Great.
So encourage everyone to give me a call or send me an email to sign up.
What's your number?
It's 251-8135 or
Okay.
pcameron@brattleboro.org.
Okay.
And space is limited, so we're encouraging everyone to pre-register.
This is at the event at the Tech Center.
At June 8th,
Yeah.
You say
Monday,
sh-
June 8th at the Marlboro Grad Center.
You say
Okay.
space is limited. Is there a cost to this?
No cost, it's free. So, encourage everyone to come. And also call me or email me if you just have any questions, or go to our website, BrattleboroSolarSummer.org. All the information is there, a list of the installers,
Okay.
more details about the
Okay.
program.
Okay. Very good. I kind of get the feeling that we've said it all. Is that the
I
case?
don't have anything else to
We
say.
probably haven't said it all, but
It sounds
as much
very
as we
exciting
can
to me.
for now.
Okay. Well, in that case, I will say thank you very much for watching to everybody who's watching. And thank you, Paul, for coming by and telling us about this.
Thank you, George.
And get solar panels.
I want to point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I want to hope gentle rains can fall upon the land so lovely earth can stand